This is Charlotte EAS here, and I decided why not make another collection update video, as now I own 35 no weather radios, 33 that are in service. Since my last video, I've collected quite a few. Before I had around 25 weather radios in service, I've collected a total of 8 more since then. And the collection has definitely grown quite a bit, and I have put 2 in my closet of shame, unfortunately, but I'll get to those in a minute. Now, the first weather radio that I am going to go over, as far as ones that I have collected, is the Accurite replacement, which is the red version over in the back corner there, for the other one that had a dead speaker. I had to replace it. That dead speaker was driving me nuts, and the display was going out pretty bad. So that radio is going in the closet of shame, pretty much. So I replaced that one. So I technically didn't gain or lose a radio there. The one I want to mention here is the beige Public Alert Edition Radio Shack 12-259, which is in decent condition.
Temperature was 64 degrees. At Rock Hill, it was clear. The temperature was 57 degrees. Elsewhere in North...
Pretty good radio overall. No tuner issues with it so far. I got it about a week ago. Siren sounds good. You know, the voice sounds good. So far it sounds good. Activated for last week's weekly test, so it seems like it's doing a pretty good job so far. So it's a decent radio overall as a whole, the beige 259. It's way better than the silver edition. I would avoid the silvers at all costs because the tuners on those things are absolutely freaking atrocious. I would steer away from those silver edition ones. But if you can find a beige 259, pick it up. Now, it's definitely not worth $60 like I see a few of them on eBay for over $60. Don't buy them. They're not worth a dime more than $30 to $40. So overall, 259, pretty good radio. Next radio up is the middle NWR 100 version 5.
North winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Wednesday night.
And I'm going to tell you something. That tuner does not sound freaking good. And unfortunately, the serial number is a 7 serial number. So I've heard that these are guaranteed to die after a while, which just sucks. The stupid part was the false advertising on eBay. Basically, the seller showed pictures of what looked like a version 3 or early version 4, where it had alert monitor on it, and it didn't have the newer public alert logo on it. And I thought, oh, I'm buying a version 3. Well, no, he shipped me a version 5. And I was like, really? So, but it's fine, you know, it's a different radio in my collection instead of a another V4 or V3. It's a step up from a V4, it's a V5, but the V5s have the tuner problems. So I don't want this thing to die on me and have a wonky tuner. So far so good the last couple of days. But these things often can have major tuner problems, kind of like the Radio Shacks. Radio Shack never really learned from their first mistake with their tuners. They just go wonky like nothing. So version 5 should last me for hopefully a good while before maybe, you know, the inevitable happens and the death squeal occurs. So that's that. Next radio is the Recom R1650! The Recom R1650. I got this for a pretty decent price of about $35, not too bad. And unfortunately, it did not come with the adapter. And I decided, alright, well, you know, screw it. I'm just going to buy a 12-volt upright adapter on Amazon. Do not buy upright adapters off of Amazon and use them for weather radios. At least the ones with a specific cable that's short and stubby. Don't use those. They absolutely shit on the you beeping at? You've been driving me crazy the last few days, Redicus, with your stupid beep. Every, 10 minutes, you do that crap. Why? You didn't do that before. Besides that, the R1650. Do not buy upright 12-volt adapters that have a very short cable. For some stupid reason, it happened the same thing with the HH. It absolutely destroys the reception. You get nothing out of it. And I had to put that thing in my closet of shame. Then I tried using it on my Radio Shacks. It seemed to do a little better, but it kept glitching the radio, and it would turn on and off and on and off and on and off, fully plugged in, and it was just causing my 262 to go freaking nuts. So, big mistake. I ordered another one that's a little bit more like that type of cable or whatever. Hopefully it doesn't shit all over the reception. There's no guarantee. The R1650. It's basically the AM and FM version of the 1630 back there. And the 1630 obviously is not plugged in because I'm waiting on an adapter for it. It's kind of running out of battery power. So that should arrive tomorrow. And overall, it seems pretty good. The backlight's pretty good. The condition was used, but it's extremely good. So whoever had this dang thing actually took really good care of it. The siren doesn't sound as loud as the R1630, and I don't know why. Maybe just a different quality speaker.
Partly cloudy. The temperature was 62 degrees, the dew point 53, and the relative humidity 72%. The wind was northwest at 5 miles an hour.
I don't know what the hell that chirping is in the background, but hopefully that doesn't interfere with alerts. I hope not. And you can see this radio was made in 2009. And that's kind of where these things kind of came about. Same with these. The older V5s kind of came out in 08, 09. And the newer ones about 2010, 2011. That was their last debut of the 100s was 2011. But I would recommend if you can find a 1650. They're not half as common as the 1630s anymore. But you can find them. Overall, I think the 1650 is a very good radio. The next radio that is not on this table because I kind of have to switch it around. I can only fit 26 on this table, which is crazy to think about. So I have to find other alternatives. And we're going to go on my wall, which this is my Midland WR100 version 4, which used to be on this table earlier, and I decided to put the version 5. That's the version 4. The next radio I collected is the Midland 74210, which is basically the Recom knockoff version of Midland. That's pretty much what it is. It's Midland freaking knocking off Recom, because the siren sounds the exact freaking same.
Mostly sunny.
Like, listen to this. Literally a Recom! What are you doing, Midland? Anyway, that's besides the point. Literally sounds like a freaking Recom. And the menu is freaking complicated as hell to set up. Honestly. Now, the good news is
Friday night.
I got this thing brand spanking new. So if it has problems, hopefully it doesn't have issues activating like Yoshi Fan. His 74210 is a lot like my stupid older version 262, where you see it says check OP. Yeah, that's because the damn thing didn't activate for its last weekly test. Yeah, you pathetic little thing. It does that same stupid crap. Listen to the reception on this thing. Listen to it.
Sunday night, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers until midnight.
Absolutely gorgeous. Why are you not activating for your weekly tests? Well, hopefully this one isn't the same thing, but the 74210 can have the same bullcrap problems as the version 4, which also has the same activating issues as the older version 262. It's kind of weird. Overall, you know, the 74210 isn't that bad of a radio, honestly. It's a good old vintage Midland radio that not a lot of people talk about. Everyone's more enthralled about the 74-200 than it is the 74-210. But overall, seems pretty good. The reception's all right.
This is the NWR radio, all hazards, WXL 70.
The speaker quality is not the greatest. It's kind of bad, honestly, but hopefully it'll activate for the next weekly. Next one is the Midland WR100 version 3 by Pittsburgh EAS. I got this one literally today. It took 2 weeks to ship, but it finally arrived. And, you know, the condition is just okay. It's probably the most used and worn weather radio I have ever bought. Like most of the radios I have bought, I buy them in pretty mint condition, new or somewhat used. This one has a lot of scuffing on it, obviously. But it is a version 3 and it does work, which is all that really matters, is the thing actually works.
Was clear. The temperature was 64 degrees.
The backlight has gone to dog shit in a can. And that's what happens to these Midlands after a long time. Their backlights just, they just go to crap. I mean, even my V4's backlight's going bad. V5, backlight's really good. So over time, if you wear the backlight out, it'll go out like a candle in the middle of the night. It'll just go absolutely gone. So that's what's happened to this one. I mean, that is... I don't think I've seen a backlight dimmer than that in my entire life. Like, that is dim. But it is a V3. See, it says alert monitor on there. The next goal is to buy a V2. But finding a V2 100 is so freaking impossible that, you know, I've only seen one V2 every 3 or 4 months or something. Like, they're rare as heck. And you have to have a seller that just is oblivious to not knowing what it is and how rare it is and how cherished the WR100 V2 and 1 is. There was a V1 white that sold not too long ago. It was a couple days ago. And I was at work and couldn't freaking get it in time. I was pissed when I got back. I was like, gosh dang it, bro. That was a V1 white. You know how rare that is? But that's besides the point. Well, I was able to get a V3. So, V3 is pretty reliable. I've heard good things. It's a semi-rare radio. It's not the most rare. I have a lot of... Not one radio I have on this table is theoretically rare. The 991 with the red logo would probably be considered semi-rare. It'd be rare. I have not seen hardly any 991s. The 996s are also freaking rare too now. And the 382s are not as common anymore either. So the Radio Shack ones are going out like crap. V3 should serve me for a little while, hopefully. If that one ever dies, I can always buy one that's in a little bit better condition. But I'll give Pittsburgh EAS a shout out to him. Great guy in the community. I thought I'd just, support him and get a radio from him. So that's that. Next radio is back on the table again, and that is the AlertWorks EAR10 Black Edition. This one I got not too long ago, about a week ago, and it seems pretty good.
Now here is the hazardous weather outlook for Northeast Georgia.
It definitely is an older version of AlertWorks, for sure. I've always wanted to have a black edition. I had the white edition, which is pretty much the newer version of the AlertWorks, and I've seen a lot of these on eBay, so I was like, well, why don't I pick one up? Dual-wheeled AlertWorks. Pretty good one. Activated for the last weekly. It's pretty much the same thing as the white version. The button beeps are a little bit quieter. The siren sounds louder, though, which is very interesting. Overall, it's decent. Pretty good condition as well for Black AlertWorks. Alright, so the next radios go next to my desk over here. And we go to the SEMA First Alert WX67.
Time is 12:26 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. These are the midnight Eastern Daylight Time observations for the Charlotte metropolitan area on Tuesday, September 27th. At Charlotte Douglas International Airport, it was partly cloudy.
This one I also got brand new, and I didn't. This was the only. This was the only one that was available on eBay for the price that I saw, and it was just the only one that I saw. There were other ones, but one of them looked pretty old and used. This one was new, and it was only like $10 more. I was like, you know what? Why don't I just buy the one that's just a little bit better? And that's just kind of where it came into play. So this one seems pretty good. The menu is not too bad. Channel, alert, single, multiple. In order to have all county codes, you have to have it like 0000 or like 99 or something. And that's just kind of... I don't know if this thing's going to activate because a lot of these radios recently I bought have been in between last Wednesday and this Wednesday. Like I said, I've collected 8 more since the last weekly. So, and it's only Monday. And I have no other radios that are arriving yet. So, this one's pretty good. The speaker quality is pretty good. This little scroll wheel is really good. Pretty good. And I like doing this. Pretty good radio overall. See my first alert WX67. Not bad. Next one is another 261. So basically, the reason why I decided to buy another 261 is because I was like, screw it, why not? But my 382's tuner died again a few days ago. And I was like, oh, shittily dinks, we got to buy another one. So I went over there. And I decided to be like, all right, buy another 04 version. In case if the 382 dies, I'm just going to move this one to the table just because until that 382 fixes itself. So I unplugged the 382 for a day and then plugged it back in, and then now it's working all over so flawlessly. So, and I decided to why not put another first header radio next to my bed in case, just to be blaring in my ear, I guess, when there's an alert.
The upper 50s. Saturday, showers likely. Highs in the upper 60s.
And it's very straightforward radio. 261s are very reliable. They're like the newer version 262s. They go off for everything. Even if the reception is not like the worst, but not the best, it'll still activate. I even had reception on my other 262, like, not 261, but it was really crappy at one point, and it still activated for alerts, which is kind of crazy. Pretty good. I'd recommend a 261 if you're a new collector. Definitely collect one. Next one is the Midland WR10, which I literally just got today. This one is a very unique weather radio in my opinion because it has the M shape on it. Basically, it mimics the Midland logo, which is really, really cool. Honestly, it's a really cool design. It activates off at 1050 hertz. So, and it has an interesting sounding siren as well, which I will not play because it's a bit late at night. I don't want my parents to kill me right now, but you can hear what it sounds like.
Continue to monitor the forecast for updates through the week. At 11 p.m., the center of Hurricane Ian was located near latitude 21.3 north.
Good old Hurricane Ian, a Category 2. Gonna come up, maybe hit Tampa. Near Tampa, and maybe stall out, create massive flash flooding or storm surge or all that. It's going to be a huge storm. Keeping an eye on that. But the WR10, pretty good. It also has AM and FM, which is really interesting for a 1050 hertz radio. It's pretty easy to set up. On the back, you can select your channel and the different megahertz frequencies you can set it to as well. So pretty good. And it's a very interesting sounding siren as well. Sounds like a fire alarm. Not really, but it sounds like a police siren, but really long, basically. It's overall pretty good. Hopefully this thing serves me for a while. And then, of course, I put it on top of the 74-200 because that radio is just a big, chunky, impossible brick to set up anyway. So I was like, I don't have any room on here. So why don't I just put it on top of the 74-200? Because I was like, screw it. So that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much the collection for you. So that's a total of 33. And in my closet of shame, not really, my drawer of shame, more or less, you have this piece of garbage, the 259 Silver Edition. Don't get it. It's not worth any money, bruv. They put those newer tuners in there, and they always go to crap. And there's my old Accurite, which has the dead speaker as well. So, I don't recommend either one of those at all, especially the 259. And unfortunately, I missed that version 1 on eBay, which would have been the cherry on top to the collection if I had collected a version 1 white. Would have been so cool. I want a version 2 so bad. You have no idea. I don't have any real rare radios. So version 2 wouldn't be terrible. I have a lot of semi-rare radios that you can find, but are just, you know, not as common as like a 120 or a 1630 or a AlertWorks or something like that, but not the rarest either. So, not as rare as a V2. That's pretty much the collection I've overall gotten. Quite a few radios. I've collected a total of 15 in the last month. 2 of which I had to replace, unfortunately. But, will I collect more? Probably not for a while. Unless I find something that's rare, or if one of them breaks, like if the V3 breaks, or if that tuner goes out on you, I might buy another one. But for now, I just don't really see it happening for a bit. I think I'm kind of satisfied with 35 radios right now. 33 in service. I have 35, but 33 work. So, hopefully, this collection will serve me for a while. So, it's going to get a lot louder when GSP tones random SVRs at 2 a.m. in the morning, which hasn't happened in a while, and I hope GSP doesn't do this bullcrap. All I know is GSP loves their special weather statements. They love pulling those 55-mile-an-hour special weather statements with nickel-sized hail. That's their favorite thing to do. Borderline severe, and they won't trigger the warning. I've had them do that a few times, and it's like, just tone the freaking warning. That's besides the point. Running Snail also activated for its first weekly. Here's the test. It's a pretty broken radio, but so far so good on that one. Alright, that's pretty much going to conclude this collection update video. This is CLT or Charlotte EAS Audi.